Cool. We were talking. Let's talk a little bit about technique, because yesterday you were talking, Brian, about like the 9-panel grid and how you attempted to do that, and like, don't ever do that. Just, it's so hard. What is some of your favorite techniques to use in a panel grid layout, Brian? And then Amy, I want to hear what your thoughts are.
I find myself like writing the same panel descriptions over and over. Like I definitely have things I like to do.
He just gave us the sign, 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Just
5.
5?
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, wait a minute. Oh, okay. I saw 2 hands. Sorry.
I generally just think of the camera as if it was being filmed, like as a film. So I sort of like, I'm going to use the word camera a lot in the panel descriptions, like lay the camera on the ground, for like a low shot to like explain that, what kind of angle I'm talking about, or like spin the camera around. I use like a lot of film things. I've been out with a filmmaker for a while and worked on a short film, so I kind of picked up a bit of that. So I think that's. I'm sure other people do it. I don't think it's just me. But I do kind of think in those terms.
Do you sometimes send them thumbnails too? Ever?
Once in a while I do. I did for that first issue of Northlanders. Like I didn't really know Davide. I didn't feel like I had seen enough of his work to really get it. And that book is quite dense with the panels. That's the book I tried to do on a grid. And failed, but I still kind of kept like a lot of panels on certain pages. Yeah. So I gave him, I didn't draw anything in the panels, but I gave him the actual panels on the page, like their size in relation to
each other.
And I did it just for that first issue. So
yeah, it was much more dense now that you say that, and then you realize it kind of loosens up.
I wanted like really dense pages and then like big open spreads. I wanted that kind of back and forth.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Amy, how about you? And I'd prefer if you talk like the Pride and Prejudice with Kira Knightley. We only have 5 minutes left.
Wait, and is this concerning what I think of 9-grid panels?
Well, sure, it could be that if you want to go off that leaping point, or yourself, like what your approach is to your panel. Let's go with what your approach is instead of a panel layout, and what you're discovering after doing 10 issues for Vertigo.
Well, I just first of all, I figure out how many panel numbers I need, and I like divide up all the different actions on what I'm going to do, and I try really hard to relax so that I can just like come up with things. It's just so much easier if you feel like you're immersing yourself into it and you're not thinking about time. And I'll just like write little notes here and there of like cool ways that I could do something. Like there's this part in Madame Xanadu too where she's like, dun dun dun, what did I just do? And I wanted to make her upside down in the panel, and so that was something where I was calm and where I was just looking. And then when I organize it, then I think, okay, what needs to be the biggest panel? And I really try to diversify them as much as possible to keep it from looking cluttery and to really just, make more of a pow effect. I don't know, I just have like a billion different things that I do. And when I started out paneling, I used to just I kind of would draw a blank and I'd look at manga to get inspiration. But nowadays, I think I became fluent enough in a lot of those things that now I just kind of go within myself to draw stuff. You know what I mean? So at first I'd force myself to try different things, and now I use them. Now they're my toolkit, I guess.
Have you also started seeing things that Winsor McKay is doing? Because you talked about him, like that maybe you're like, it's just somehow coming to the top of your brain, maybe you don't even realize it, or maybe you do, it's on purpose?
I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Because with his stuff, it's very much like seen as from an observer. And the way that I always draw it, the goal is to make it feel like it's a first-person experience.
Yeah.
And so I'm really not sure what I will do and how much I'll change, but I just really, really like being the observer for some reason on that. So I haven't yet figured it out.
That's cool. And this is the issue you can see, but it's really effective where you put her upside down.
Yeah, and I guess they put the balloon, the words upside down too, which was kind of cool.
It's really, it's almost like a movie, it's like, it turns it over. So let's see, maybe we have time for one more question. Okay, good. One more. Anyone else have something you want to, maybe we'll stand up. I was reading them so we could hear it on the mic, just so you guys know. Thank you for all your questions. Anyone? Question? Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, Amy, we talked a little bit about this when I've talked to you before, but now that the first full arc is complete, which historical time period that you drew in Madame Xanadu was your favorite? Which one is the most difficult?
I can't say what was my favorite, because basically whenever I draw something, I have to like it beyond all love, you know what I mean? So it was, my favorite was whichever one I was working on. When I did the Victorian period and 1940, both of those made me really sad that I didn't read back then. Like I would look at all these references and just really, really wish that I could have been there and spent all my time on hair and clothing like they did. But you know, just the culture and stuff just would have been so exciting to me. But I really liked them all. The hardest was by far Xanadu itself, like Kublai Khan's palace, because there's no movies that are good reference for that. So I had to do a lot of online searching, and I found out that like Chinese dress is not what most people think, with like the side buttons and the buttons for the men in the front and stuff. That's actually Manchurian clothing, because Manchurians took over China in the last dynasty before they became, you know, communist and stuff. And so, so yeah, it actually looks more Japanese. So I typed in Chinese clothing, and apparently there's a Wikipedia entry called Hanfu, and it's like the Chinese traditional dress. And they had all of these Chinese characters to explain different types of clothing, and I would just copy those characters and put them in an image search to figure out what it was. So that's how I had to learn. It was really, really hard.
Wow. Intense, yeah. Thank
And I
God
got
for the
some
internet.
notes too, so.
Do we have time for a question for Brian, or should we wrap up? He's going to check, official timekeeper.
Just one quick one.
One quick one for Brian, and then we're out of here. Wow, that was quick.
It was a tumbleweed blade.
I know. Like, Brian, well, research for the Vikings wear. Did you have to help them out with that, the clothing and the Northlanders?
Yeah, I did all of that. I felt like it
You
was
did?
I felt like it was.
Wow.
I felt like asking somebody to like draw a book like that. I'd at least like help. And like I said, I do so much research that I.
So it is actually pretty accurate, whereas people are like, Vikings don't look like that. It's actually
It's
probably
as accurate as I could do in a year's worth of research.
Yeah.
It's pretty accurate, I think.
That's cool.
And Davide found some crazy Italian like LARPers.
Really?
Live action dudes.
Wow.
Took a bunch of pictures and everything. But yeah, my scripts, not to make you jealous, but my scripts are full of direct links to the things.
Nice. You're gonna have to talk a little bit about
There's all
that.
these blue links everywhere, and I set up like private web pages for each book, so I post all the
Wow.
pictures there. I'm a nice guy.
That is. He's like, you gotta stand up to Matt
White.
White.
Like, I'd love if a writer did that for
That's
me.
really cool. Well, you guys, wonderful work. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, guys. Thank you, great. Definitely check out the work.